Well, the primary is just around the corner, and joining me now I have Sid Dinsdale. Thank you for joining.
Great to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself to start off.
Well, I grew up in Palmer, Nebraska, a little town of 430 miles north of Grand Island. Spent my time as a kid working in the fields, irrigating, farming, that kind of thing. Ended up going to Hastings College for 2 years on the University of Nebraska, where I graduated with a degree in finance, and I've been in community banking for 37 years, most of it with our own family company, Pinnacle Bank.
And so why did you run for Senate?
Well, I'm just so frustrated with the overreach of federal government. I think we're so far away from what our founders had in mind when they established our great country and the Constitution. We should be a state-driven government, not us working for the federal government. And that's why I'm running, because I want to push back hard against the overreach of the federal government in our lives and businesses.
And what experiences do you have that you feel make you right for the job?
Yeah, well, I am a Nebraskan. I'm 61 years old. I've been here all but 3 years of my life across Nebraska in the banking business and various ag businesses. And in the banking business, you have to deal with regulators almost daily, and they have the keys to the front door, so to speak. So I've had to learn how to get along with regulators and build a consensus, build an agreement to continue in banking, but under the rules and guidelines they established. I think I can take my skills of getting along with people, but still getting done what I want done, back to Washington, D.C. I want to really push back against this regulation and law-creating federal government that we have.
Mm-hmm. Is there one particular issue in Washington you'd like to address if elected?
Well, Obamacare is at the forefront of everybody's mind right now. I think we can do much better than that in health care, but also on my mind is energy independence, which I think we should have been energy independent yesterday with some good leadership, and also the financial situation of our federal government, just borrowing and borrowing and borrowing. Listen, I look at the federal government as a huge mismanaged enterprise. We have a great country, the greatest on earth, but we are just really mismanaged at this point. So I want to go back as a citizen legislator, somebody who will self-term limit, somebody who's been in business, actually created jobs across our great state, and push back on the federal government and try to straighten this thing out a little bit.
And so federal spending is kind of a big issue in Washington. What do you think that needs to be done to kind of get that under control?
Well, we take in over $200 billion a month of federal tax revenue, which sure should be adequate to run our government. I want to look at entitlement reform, and I'm sorry, your age, you're going to take some of the hit, and you are way ahead of us. Your generation, you know that if we don't make changes, it won't be there anyway. So over 50 years old, promises made, promises kept to those individuals. But under 50, we need to make some changes. Unless you touch entitlements, you're not going to be successful at really making real inroads into reforming our financial statement. And also look at each agency and see if they're really necessary. Like the Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education, I don't think we even need that department.
And then, of course, we have to touch on the Affordable Care Act. What are your thoughts on the laws that have been implemented?
Well, I'm all about more individual responsibility, so I'm a big believer in health savings accounts, for example. We should be able to go to our own doctor, for heaven's sakes, a hospital of our choice. There should be outcome-based health care, and we decide where to go, where to spend our money, less federal government involvement. This Obamacare is a takeover of 17 or 18% of our economy, and more importantly, even than that, it's taking over how we live our lives, how we go about our own health care. Health care should be for catastrophic coverage, not day-to-day, go to the doctor type coverage. That should be health savings accounts, something where we manage our own money and our own affairs. Of course, if you have cancer or a transplant issue, those kind of catastrophic things should be covered. And then there's portability, which should keep not denying for pre-existing health care and ending the lifetime cap, but more of a individual-based, responsibility-based health care system.
And then, of course, Washington has been caught in a partisan lock for some time now. What efforts do you think you could do to kind of work across the aisles?
Well, the first thing I would do is try to get to know other senators and work on issues that hopefully they would find important to the United States of America. Things like energy, things like healthcare, things like the financial situation we find ourselves in. I know I'm not going to win every battle back there, but I'd sure as heck work hard as one senator to win for Nebraskans, to win for Americans who want to control their own lives. Less federal government in our lives. We can see it in every industry we're in across our state and individually too. When we drive our cars, everything that we have going on. The federal government seems to be inserting themselves more and more into our lives, and that's what I want to go against. As a businessman who's created jobs, I've seen what bad regulation, bad legislation does to our businesses and our lives. And I want to try to stop that if I can.
Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would just like to point out to Nebraskans that I am a Nebraskan. I'm over 80% of my Senate support comes from Nebraskans. I'm not after the Washington, D.C. endorsements, the Washington celebrities. I just want Nebraskans to look at me as a fellow Nebraskan, a Husker fan, and decide if I can represent you. I'm asking for a job for up to 12 years, self-term limiting. And I'm not after these endorsements, and I hope that you'll be independent, fellow Nebraskans, and I hope that you'll look at my record and what I've done, and that you'll find that I'm somebody you'd like to have as your U.S. Senator.
All right, well, thank you so much, Sid.
You bet, thank you.
And if you'd like more information on the candidates, you can always log on to our website, nebraska.tv.